What is going on, guys? Wonderman Boxing. Today we're going to talk about Canelo Alvarez and all the critics, all the negativity that has been talked about him, that he's ducking this, that he's afraid of that. If he doesn't fight this guy, then he's ducking him. If he doesn't go this route, then he's ducking this weight. If he doesn't do this, then this and that. Looks like the media and everybody tries to focus more on negativity instead of the accomplishments. It's pretty self-explanatory. People tend to focus more on the negativity than the positivity. It is what it is. Now, for true boxing fans out there, for true boxing channels out there, everybody knows that Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing. And when you're the face of boxing, you face a lot of pressure in your career. Mayweather did the same thing. A lot of people didn't like Mayweather. A lot of people tuned into Mayweather's fights just because they wanted to see the man lose. But then Mayweather also had all these fans that really appreciated him, really appreciated his skills, really followed his career, and they were big fans of him. Same thing with Canelo Alvarez. There's a lot of people that don't like him. They don't like his boxing career. They don't like what he's done in the sport. But then there's a lot of people that appreciate him, that follow him, that are inspired by him. You know what I'm saying? And that's always going to be there. So we have to understand that. And I don't have to repeat myself to this, but for some people that don't know, obviously we know that Canelo Alvarez became undisputed at 168 pounds, and he has a hell of a resume. He's fighting a lot of great champions out in his career. The guy did that within a year. Canelo Alvarez is going to go back to fighting twice this year. So what about all the other big fights that could be made? You know what I'm saying? One thing that we can buy back is time. We all understand that one thing that we can buy back is time. So are we going to wait for Canelo Alvarez to pick and choose them? Or are we going to get other great fights? Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford, all these fighters are creating their own legacy, just the same as Canelo Alvarez is creating their own legacy. That's what all these other fighters like a Jamal Charlo, a David Benavidez, all these fighters need to create for themselves and not be relying on Canelo Alvarez to give them, the biggest paycheck of their career and stuff like that. They should create their own legacy. But yes, don't get me wrong, they're all exciting fights that could be made, and if people were a little bit more open-minded to that, then we will get to see more exciting fights throughout the whole year. You see what I'm saying? And there will be more revenue on the table throughout the whole year. This goes for Showtime. This goes for The Zone, PBC. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in general. Canelo Alvarez, whoever he fights, there's always going to be negativity. If he decides to go with Dimitri Bivol, then they're going to say he ducked Jamal Charlo and David Benavidez. If he decides to fight Triple G, then they're going to say, he picked him because he was old and he's not the same Triple G as before. Even though Triple G has came out and stated that he beat Canelo Alvarez twice and that Canelo Alvarez is a fraud. Absolutely not. I mean, the first fight, it was a controversial decision, and he could say that he beat Canelo Alvarez for sure. But the second fight, he did not beat Canelo Alvarez. No way. He did not beat Canelo Alvarez. But it is what it is with Triple G. But then if Canelo Alvarez fights Jamal Charlo, then he's going to say he cherry-picked him because he made him go up in weight to 168 pounds. Or that he ducked Dimitri Bivol. Or that he's ducking the 175-pound division. You see, one thing that we have to take in consideration is that Canelo Alvarez has been moving weight classes throughout his career. 154, 160, 164, 168, 175. I mean, there's not a lot of boxers out there that are doing that right now. You know what I'm saying? So we have to give credit where credit is due. But then again, there will always be haters out there no matter what. So whatever Canelo Alvarez decides to do, people will always have something negative to say, but we should just focus on the positive things that Canelo Alvarez is doing. If you're a big, true boxing fan of Canelo Alvarez, you should just focus on the positive things that Canelo Alvarez is doing, because to me, in my opinion, he's going to go down as one of the best Mexican boxers ever to ever lace those gloves. You know what I'm saying? It's just facts. It's what it is, Now, if you were to tell me who would you like Canelo Alvarez to face next? Honestly, at this point, Canelo Alvarez has a proven record and he can face anybody he wants. But if I had to choose, I would have to go with Jamal Charlo. I would love to see that fight. I've been wanting to see that fight for a while, and I think the time is better than ever before for a Jamal Charlo fight versus Canelo Alvarez. But I would not be disappointed if he decides to go with Dimitri Bivol or any other fights. Because like I said, Canelo Alvarez is just fighting champion after champion. It is what it is. But I just wanted to get that out of the way. That Canelo Alvarez the pressure is always going to be there. There's always going to be negativity, and there's always going to be positivity. And but at the end of the day, you know, even if people that talk negative things, they always have Canelo Alvarez in their minds. And that's one thing that we have to understand, is that Canelo Alvarez is always in these people's minds. Even if it's negative, they're still talking about them. But you know how much Canelo Alvarez knows about them? Nothing. Because they're nobodies. You know, that's why they have to talk about Canelo Alvarez in a negative way, so that they can get popular themselves through his name. You see what I'm saying? So like I said, guys, it is what it is. And with that being said, you guys have a good one. I'm out.